"Don't sign that contract," whispered a janitor to a millionaire during a tense business meeting. What he heard next left him stunned. Emma started her day as usual, rising before dawn in her small apartment in New York City. The old alarm clock barely rang before she silenced it, careful not to wake her younger brother, Liam, who was still asleep. His pale face and uneven breathing reminded her of the illness slowly draining him. As she prepared a modest breakfast, Emma thought about the money needed for Liam's medication. Her janitor's salary barely covered their expenses, and the bills seemed to pile up endlessly. "Today will be better," she told herself, adjusting her gray uniform before heading to work. The sleek corporate skyscraper in Manhattan stood in stark contrast to Emma's life. Each morning, she passed through the glass doors with a shy smile, heading straight to the locker room to start her shift. She was invisible to most employees, which, deep down, suited her. That day, James Carter, the company's owner, was more on edge than usual. A millionaire known for his aloofness and exacting standards, he was preparing for a critical meeting with foreign investors. His polished appearance and commanding presence intimidated those around him. "Everything must be perfect. I won't tolerate mistakes today," he ordered, striding toward the boardroom. Emma quietly cleaned the hallways nearby, noticing the nervous bustle of employees preparing for the meeting. When the time came, James entered the boardroom with his team of lawyers. The investors were already waiting, reviewing documents and exchanging calculated glances. Emma was asked to quickly tidy the room before the meeting began. The boardroom doors closed, but not completely, allowing snippets of conversation to drift into the hallway. An older investor with a thick accent pressed James to sign the contract immediately. "This is an opportunity you can't miss, Mr. Carter," he insisted. James responded coolly, "I don't make hasty decisions. My team will review everything before we proceed." Despite his firm stance, James seemed under pressure. Emma, finishing her tasks, froze when she heard the name of one of the investors. Her heart skipped a beat. It was a name tied to the financial ruin that had destroyed her father's life years ago. Memories of that painful time flooded back. Her family had lost everything due to a scam that led to her father's death. Acting on impulse, Emma entered the boardroom, ignoring the stunned looks of those present. "Mr. Carter, please don't sign that contract," she said, her voice trembling but resolute. The room fell silent. James rose slowly from his chair, his face a mix of confusion and anger. "What are you doing here?" he asked sharply, his tone laced with disdain. Emma, sensing she'd crossed a dangerous line, lowered her gaze but stood her ground. "I just want to warn you, that man can't be trusted. My family lost everything because of someone like him," she said. James looked at her with cold mockery. "And who are you to tell me what to do? A janitor eavesdropping on private conversations?" His words cut deeply, but Emma didn't back down. "I have nothing to lose, Mr. Carter. I just wanted to warn you," she said firmly. James smirked sarcastically and turned to his team. "Escort this woman out and ensure she never interrupts me again." Emma was led out, her heart pounding, tears welling in her eyes. She had risked her job, but felt she had no choice. Even as the boardroom doors closed, she could hear muffled voices inside. James, his expression unreadable, glanced at the investors, whose attention had been disrupted by Emma's intrusion. "I apologize for the misunderstanding," he said calmly, masking his emotions. "These things happen. My employee must have been overwhelmed. We'll handle it." The investors exchanged looks, and the senior one, with a foreign accent, spoke up. "Mr. Carter, we understand, but this is highly unusual. Are you certain everything is under control?" James nodded confidently. "Absolutely. I appreciate your understanding. Let's continue." However, the atmosphere in the room had shifted. The investors whispered among themselves, their demeanor less favorable. After 30 minutes of discussion, they decided to postpone the meeting. "Mr. Carter, perhaps we should resume talks another time, when things are more settled," one suggested. James nodded, knowing insistence was futile. "Of course, gentlemen. We'll schedule a new date. Thank you for your time." Alone in the boardroom, James took a deep breath, suppressing his irritation. Emma's words, her boldness, and the way she stormed and haunted him. He couldn't dismiss what had happened. Emma returned to the janitorial closet, her hands shaking, her heart racing with anxiety. She knew her actions could cost her job, but the memories of her family's ruin were too vivid to ignore. Her colleague, Sarah, noticed her distress and rushed over. "What's wrong? You're trembling." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "I interrupted the meeting. I told Mr. Carter not to sign the contract. It was wrong, but I couldn't stay silent." Sarah sighed, a mix of shock and concern on her face. "You know that could end badly. Mr. Carter doesn't tolerate such things." "I know," Emma whispered, lowering her head, "but I couldn't stay quiet. They're like the people who destroyed my family." That night, James sat in his office, poring over documents, his thoughts returning to the janitor who dared interfere. "Why does this bother me so much?" he wondered, eyeing the contract with suspicion. Meanwhile, Emma returned home, weighed down by shame and despair. James's words echoed in her mind. Her uniform was crumpled and stained, but she barely noticed. Entering her apartment, she glanced at Liam, resting on his bed. "Emma," she called softly, stroking his forehead. He opened his eyes weakly and smiled. "You're late today." Emma forced a smile, though she felt broken inside. "Tough day at work, but everything's fine," she said. As she prepared dinner from their sparse pantry, tears streamed down her face. "Why couldn't I stay quiet? What if I get fired?" she thought. Meanwhile, James sat at his glass desk, the contract before him. Emma's words, "That man can't be trusted. My family lost everything because of someone like him," lingered in his mind. Her courageous, desperate gaze haunted him. He sighed and pressed the intercom. "Clara, bring me all the additional information on these investors. I want a full analysis," he ordered. The next day, Emma went to work, feeling as though each step brought her closer to judgment. Her colleagues, though kind, cast curious glances. News of her interruption had spread. "What were you thinking, Emma?" a co-worker whispered in the locker room. "I don't know. I just felt I had to do it," Emma replied, hiding her anxiety. "I hope Mr. Carter doesn't fire you. You know how he is," they said. Emma nodded silently, knowing they were right. James was known for his ruthlessness toward those who challenged his authority. James delved into the investor data. The more he reviewed, the clearer it became that Emma might have saved him from disaster. Financial reports revealed inconsistencies, shady transactions, hidden lawsuits, and contracts that had bankrupted other companies. He realized his analytics team was responsible for this oversight. Their negligence had jeopardized the company's reputation and future. He summoned the senior analyst, Michael. "Explain how you missed this," James demanded, tossing the incriminating documents onto the desk. Michael stammered, "We followed standard protocols. It looked clean at first glance." "At first glance," James interrupted, standing abruptly. "This isn't just negligence. You put the company and thousands of employees at risk." Michael paled. "We can run another review." "It's too late," James snapped. "You're fired. I can't work with people who fail to ensure our deals are secure." After dismissing Michael, James called his head lawyer. "David, halt all negotiations with these investors until we have full transparency," he instructed. The lawyer asked, "What changed your mind, Mr. Carter?" James paused, picturing Emma's face. "Call it intuition," he replied. Emma returned home, still worried about her actions' consequences. Liam, seeing her, struggled to sit up, holding a pencil and an old notebook. "Emma, I finished another drawing," he said, smiling. The sketch showed a cozy house surrounded by a garden with flowers and a bright sun. "It's beautiful, Liam. One day, we'll live in a place like that," she said, trying to sound confident. "Really?" he asked, hope in his eyes. "Of course, buddy," she replied, kissing his forehead. The next day, as Emma cleaned windows, James passed by. His gaze was thoughtful, almost probing. "Good morning, Mr. Carter," she said softly. He nodded slightly and continued, but the brief moment left her uneasy. Later, James decided to learn more about Emma. Accessing her personnel file, he found nothing remarkable. Punctual, hardworking, no disciplinary issues. But one detail stood out. Her brother was dependent on her, and their mother had passed away. Her life hasn't been easy, he muttered. Her story stirred an unfamiliar discomfort in him, highlighting the gap between their worlds. Emma returned home late. Liam, still pale but joyful, showed her another drawing, a family standing before a house with a garden. "We'll live there, right?" he asked. "Absolutely, Liam. We'll be happy," she said, hugging him, though her thoughts lingered on James. Why hadn't he fired her? The following day, while cleaning the boardroom, James entered unexpectedly. Emma froze. "Mr. Carter, hello," she said, setting aside her rag. He crossed his arms, his gaze focused. "You're an unusual woman, Emma," he began. She struggled to respond calmly. "Few in your position would dare interrupt a critical meeting," he continued. Emma lowered her eyes. "I'm sorry, but I did what I thought was right." James stepped closer, his tone softening. "How did you know those people were untrustworthy?" Emma took a deep breath and met his gaze. "My father lost everything because of people like them," she said, fighting tears. "You may not understand why I spoke up, but I couldn't stay silent. They remind me of the man who ruined my family." She continued, "My father was a good man. He dreamed of a better life for us. When someone promised big investments, he believed them and put in everything we had. It was a scam. We lost our home, our money. The stress and guilt killed him. I was a teenager, but I had to take care of Liam." James listened silently, the weight of her words sinking in. He saw not just a janitor, but a person who had endured immense pain. "You've shared a lot, Emma, more than I expected. I'm grateful for your honesty," he said, leaving the room. Emma felt a sense of relief but uncertainty about what would come next. James, in his office, couldn't shake her words. Her story made him realize how little he knew about his employees. The next day, he called her to his office. "I've thought about our conversation," he said. "I reviewed the documents, and you were right. Those people were trying to deceive me." Emma was stunned. "I didn't expect you to believe me." James's gaze softened. "I rarely listen to others, especially those who seem far from my world. But your story made me think. You've been through a lot, and your courage deserves respect." Tears welled in Emma's eyes. "Thank you, Mr. Carter. That means more than you know." He continued, "You mentioned caring for your brother. That takes incredible strength. I want to help cover Liam's medical expenses. You shouldn't bear that burden alone." Emma's eyes widened. "I can't accept that. It's too much." James leaned forward. "This isn't charity, Emma. It's a thank you. Without you, my company could have faced huge losses. You deserve this." After a long pause, Emma agreed. "Okay, for Liam's sake." James nodded. "I'll arrange everything." Over the next few days, he hired top doctors and paid for Liam's medications. As Liam's health improved, Emma's heart filled with gratitude. One evening, James visited her home. "Mr. Carter, what are you doing here?" she asked, shocked. "I want to check on Liam." "May I come in?" he replied. The apartment was small but tidy. Liam, seeing James, asked, "Are you the one helping my sister?" James smiled. "More like helping you." "How do you feel?" "Better. Thanks to you," Liam said sincerely. James looked at Emma. "Your sister's a hero. I'm just saying thank you." After James left, Liam said, "He's kind of weird, huh?" Emma laughed. A little, but she was conflicted. James had changed from the cold, arrogant man she first met. His actions made her question his true nature. James began crossing paths with Emma more often, his demeanor softer. One evening, he invited her and Liam to dinner at his home. The evening was warm and relaxed. Liam shared stories, and James listened with genuine interest. When Liam fell asleep on the couch, James invited Emma to the terrace. Under the starry sky, he said, "Emma, I have a question. Are you ready to let someone into your life who wants to be there?" Emma hesitated, seeing his sincerity but fearing their different worlds. "I'm scared our lives are too different," she admitted. James smiled. "The difference doesn't matter if we both want to be together. This is just the beginning, and I'm ready to walk this path with you." Emma nodded, allowing herself to hope for the first time in years. Weeks later, their bond grew stronger. Liam's health improved, and James and Emma decided to move forward together. Their wedding was simple but heartfelt, with only close friends and colleagues present. Liam stood proudly by Emma's side. As she approached James, he whispered, "You're everything I've ever wanted." She replied, "And you're my new chance at life." After the wedding, they started a new life in a cozy house outside the city, surrounded by a garden Liam had always dreamed of. Each day was filled with joy and care. Liam, fully recovered, ran through the garden with a kite, while James and Emma watched from the terrace. "You know," James said, holding her hand, "I never thought I'd be this happy." Emma smiled warmly. "I never thought I deserved this life." James squeezed her hand. "You deserve this and more. You changed my life, and I want to make yours everything you've dreamed of." They sat on the terrace, savoring the warm evening and the stars, knowing that, despite all they'd been through, only happiness lay ahead. Thank you for listening to this story. Please share your thoughts, subscribe to Unbelievable But True, and share this video with friends. Your support inspires us to create more stories. Don't miss the next incredible tale. Check the description for our full story catalog. See you soon.